Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alt Kings podcast. I'm your host, Tate, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Bonzo Finance. I'm joined with their co founder and CEO, Brady Gentile, having experience with Hedera spanning over 6 years and working at Hedera and Swords Labs for quite some time. Brady, how you doing today?
Hey, Tate, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great, and it's a pleasure to have you as this is a new product you're releasing onto Hedera Hashgraph's network. I'm quite excited to dive into the details of everything and learn more about Bonzo Finance. But to begin, Bonzo Finance is a decentralized platform that enables users to lend and borrow cryptocurrencies in a secure, non custodial manner. Built on Hedera's network, Bonzo Finance allows lenders to earn passive income by providing liquidity to the market, while borrowers can earn access from loans by supplying collateral. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Got it straight from the white paper, so hopefully it was accurate. My
Perfect.
first question, Brady, simply speaking, can you elaborate on the specific features and benefits that Bonzo Finance offers to users interested in lending and borrowing on Hedera's network?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, Bonzo Finance is a open source, decentralized lending and borrowing protocol. Essentially, what we've done is forked Aave v2, which is the most utilized lending protocol on the Ethereum network, as well as some other major networks across Web3. And we've adapted it to Hedera's Ethereum virtual machine or EVM, and as well as the Hedera Token Service, which is the native token service that's on Hedera, which all of the token-based projects on Hedera are utilizing. Um, in terms of what we're offering, the way that we're thinking about it is we want to start with a very robust, sound foundation on which to build. So, by adapting Aave v2 to Hedera, we're accomplishing that goal. Aave v2 has been battle tested both technically as well as economically over the years. It's seen a variety of different potential scenarios that can take place. It's been patched over time. It's been audited. We'll be doing obviously our own audits as well for its adaptations to the Hedera network. But we think it's an incredible place to start when it comes to building a lending protocol for the Hedera network.
Nice. You already answered my second question, Brady, and that's just more or less simply speaking, security and reliability of the platform itself. And as you mentioned, audits are secure ways of going about making sure and ensuring that security is there all across the platform. And so that's great to see. What really inspired, though, the creation of Bonzo Finance? And what's your background like to really want to get into the finance side of things and providing liquidity and, the loan factors to the Web3 industry?
Yeah, so our decision to go after lending and borrowing for the Hedera DeFi ecosystem is twofold. So I left Hedera around 5 months ago. I was working for Swirls Labs, which is sort of the one of the main labs organizations for the Hedera network. And during my time at Hedera, I had always been more Web3 innovation, retail user focused. I think there was definitely a divide between individuals there, where there's a lot of enterprise use cases, and those take a little bit longer. And then there are also a number of people who are more focused on sort of the innovative Web3 retail side of things. And so I definitely categorize myself in the latter. And when you look at the technical aspects of Hedera around 5 months ago, for a long time, Hedera hadn't had EVM equivalents. It was still working on bringing online sort of these ecosystem integrations that are needed for robust DeFi protocols to be built and deployed on the network. Um, and around 5 months ago, all of the technical pieces sort of came into play. So EVM equivalence is incredibly strong. You could use development environments like Hardhat and Foundry to be able to build and deploy and test these ubiquitous protocols and applications on the Hedera network. And then in addition, oracles are an incredibly important part of lending and borrowing, as well as other complex DeFi type transactions. And both Supra and Pyth have launched their Oracle services on Hedera just within the last 4 or 5 months. And so from the technical side, it made a lot of sense. We're able to port over that application to the Hedera network, and it works flawlessly. And then there's also this aspect of the economic side of the Hedera ecosystem. So Hedera, I think, initially got a late start when it comes to its DeFi ecosystem. Smart contracts came online in 2022, and we started to see the introduction of very foundational DeFi applications and protocols. The biggest one on Hedera today being SaucerSwap. And SaucerSwap is a decentralized exchange that's based on Uniswap v2 and Uniswap v3 as well. And with the introduction of DEXs, that's boosting the total value locked and liquidity that's available for the ecosystem. It's creating the ability for anyone to trade tokens and contribute to trading volume on the network. And they've in particular really laid this solid foundation where now you have the ability to go into the next generation of the DeFi ecosystem on the network. And if you look at other networks and their DeFi ecosystems, there's sort of an order of operations when it comes to its progress. You start with decentralized exchanges. That lays a solid foundation, and then typically what's introduced is lending protocols. And then after lending protocols, you see sort of derivatives and perpetuals and futures and a number of other different categories of DeFi that come online. And so, from both the technical and the economic perspective, it seems like it just made sense to go after.
Very cool. And like you've already mentioned, the Supra and Pyth oracles. You mind dumbing things down for everybody listening at home who might not necessarily be as tech savvy or, as knowledgeable in that sort of sector of the market? Could you provide me more of an information on the integration of Supra and Pyth oracles into Bonzo Finance and how they contribute to the efficiency and accuracy of the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with lending and borrowing in particular, um, the protocol itself needs to know what the current price is of various assets that are supplied to it. And it needs to know the price because it's constantly tracking the value of these assets that are both being supplied and being borrowed. And the way that our protocol works is it's over collateralized loans, which means that when you supply assets of a certain value to the protocol, you're able to take out a loan on a percentage of that value that you've supplied. So when you think about it that way, you have to understand what the value of the assets that you've supplied is in order for a user to be able to then borrow against that. And what oracles do is essentially they're smart contracts that have multiple data sources for price feeds. And the smart contract for the oracle provides that price feed in a decentralized and secure way to any protocol that is smart contract based that needs to take advantage of that information. Let's say a certain asset increases or decreases in price, that's going to change the value of what you've supplied. And if that value, for example, drops below a certain amount, but you've borrowed a certain amount against it, what would take place is a liquidation. And so those assets that you supplied are sold off, and everybody that's in the marketplace is made whole. So, price feeds that are provided by these oracles are a really important part of the functionality of lending protocols and many other protocols too. Prediction markets is a big one, like Polymarket on Ethereum and Polygon and others.
Nice. So I'm assuming you've probably taken a lot of reference from other people who've built out lending protocols and whatnot on various other chains, and it's smart to do that because you learn a lot from their mistakes, and it helps. In all honesty, in the grand scheme of things, because then you have the less likelihood of making those mistakes yourself.
Yeah, that's really the ethos of the space is everyone's throwing things against the wall. Everything is for the most part open source, and everybody's trying to work together to figure out ultimately the best solution for how to do finance in this very new way.
Nice. But so going back to the oracles, so the oracles more or less provide real-time data regarding the price, and very vital and a key factor when it comes to lending and or borrowing from any platform, any lending platform specifically. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. If you're operating a lending protocol, on any network, those lending protocols in almost every instance require a price feed from an oracle.
Nice. It's cool to know. You learn more every day, I'll tell you that. Where's
Yeah.
the liquidity coming from though, Brady? For, obviously it's going to take a hefty amount of liquidity to provide these loans out to people who want to borrow and also lend. Is it more or less all within the ecosystem itself? Does it require people to start lending money before they can borrow money, or how will the liquidity sort of arise?
Yeah, that's right. So liquidity is obviously an incredibly important part of lending. You need that initial liquidity in order for people to come and borrow against it.
Yeah.
And the way that we're thinking about liquidity is it is a decentralized protocol. So anybody that is holding an asset that's supported by the protocol in their wallet, they can supply that asset into the protocol and make it available for others to use. So, we anticipate a significant number of retail users in Hedera's DeFi ecosystem to supply liquidity to the protocol. They'll earn a yield for supplying that liquidity because other people are coming along and borrowing against that liquidity, and they're paying an APY, which goes to the supplier. But we also think there's a lot of low hanging fruit when it comes to the treasuries of token based projects on the network. So, significant number of projects have a treasury of their token, or even employees or large holders of those protocols. They're holders of the token, and they want to be able to have a safe play to allocate some of those tokens to a place where they're able to earn yield on it. And so, one of our strategies is talking to these token based projects and saying, hey, you have this treasury that's kind of just sitting there. You have potentially employees that are also sitting on large amounts of tokens, and there's restrictions on what you can do with them. We want to offer you a safe place to be able to make that liquidity accessible for users, and at the same time, you would earn some yield for doing that. And yeah, so those would definitely be the two sort of primary sources of liquidity for the protocol.
Nice. How have the companies responded to that pitch to them when it comes to, providing their own liquidity into these protocols?
Very positively. I think when you compare lending protocols to other DeFi categories that you can earn yield, it's a relatively safe place. Essentially, there's, as you supply it to a pool, it's a single asset pool. So there's no chance for impermanent loss the way there might be with a DEX, where there's sort of a pair of tokens that are supplied to a liquidity pool. And then, overall, it does help the project if their token or asset is available for other users to get exposure to by borrowing it. And then, to take that further, borrowing it and then bringing it into their application, for example, it increases the utilization of their app. And so there's, a significant number of benefits for these projects to want to participate in that activity that increases the health of their protocol and at the same time improves the health of the overall DeFi ecosystem for whichever network they're on.
Nice. Is there any HTS projects out there you like to highlight that will be more or less being a part of Bonzo's early stage releases and anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is subject to change, but the initial assets that we're looking at supporting are HBAR, the native asset for the Hedera network, HBAR X, which is a liquid staking token for Hedera, Sauce and Sauce X, which are, sorry, X Sauce, which are the native token of Saucer Swap, and then the single sided staking token for Saucer Swap, USDC, which is a very big one, and then Karate's Karate Combat asset.
Nice. Very cool. As we
Yeah.
know, though, Brady, this is the wild, wild west of crypto out here in this DeFi space and everything that goes along with it. what's going to happen to these users who don't necessarily pay back their loans? Is there some sort of KYC verification process that goes along with Bonzo Finance to really ensure the safety and satisfaction of these loans being, loaned out to new users and, users who engage with the platform? Or what's the process look like for that?
Yeah, so as mentioned before, Bonzo Finance is a decentralized, sort of autonomous protocol that exists on the Hedera network that's based on smart contracts. And the way that lending and borrowing works is it's sort of peer to peer, in the sense that when you supply assets to the protocol, only the smart contracts on the protocol touch that asset. There's no person or individual who actually manages those funds for lending and borrowing. Um, and what happens is when you supply a certain amount of value to the protocol of that asset, you're able to borrow against a percentage of that value, and this is called an over collateralized loan. And so, based on a number of different health metrics of that asset, you're given the opportunity to borrow against that certain percentage of the value. Let's say that the price of the asset that you've supplied unfortunately tanks. It goes down, and essentially you're left having borrowed more than the value that has been supplied. There is an ecosystem that is built around ensuring that doesn't take place, essentially, and these are called liquidation bots. And anybody can operate a liquidation bot for Bonzo Finance. Essentially, what this does is it's constantly seeking opportunities to perform a liquidation in the event that the borrowed value is greater than the supplied value. And so you operate that bot. The bot performs a liquidation on a percentage of the assets that you've supplied. You keep the amount that you've borrowed, and then the creditor who lent that asset is made whole because the liquidation bot refills the pool with the asset. And yeah, there's an entire ecosystem that's built around this. The people who are performing those liquidations, they get a small fee for participating in that activity and helping sort of protect the integrity of the protocol. And it's definitely something we're really excited about, building out an ecosystem for that and rewarding users for participating.
Yeah, most definitely. And there are already have been users participating within the Bonzo Finance sort of entire ecosystem. I know right now you guys are currently in your beta stages, allowing users to go in and test out the platform itself. How's that been? How has the community feedback been so far?
Yeah, it's been awesome. We have about 300 to 400 folks that are in our Discord. We just launched that over the last few weeks. Around a week and a half ago, we made available the public testnet instance of Bonzo Finance, and you can check it out at testnet.bonzo.finance. We've had around, I think the latest our analytics shows around 100 to 100, 125 accounts that have been participating and providing feedback. And it's been so helpful to have the community just poking at it and
Yeah.
trying every which scenario they can. Honestly, to break it, we want to see that, and it's held up very strongly. There's definitely been some incredible feedback that we've gotten to make the user experience better. And ultimately, we want to create an amazing user experience for folks that are using it, and then also ensure that it's a robust play for anybody that's participating.
Most definitely. And regarding user experience, NFTs can play a factor into the entire user experience on any sort of platform or, utilizing any sort of community project. Can you tell me more about the NFTs that the H barbarians can potentially buy in the near future? I saw that on the white paper also.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we are doing an NFT collectibles sale. These NFTs are, very similar to the NFT collectible sales that have been performed from past projects like Saucer Swap and Hashpack. And the utility for them is sort of twofold. There's a community aspect of the utility, where as a holder of the various tiers of NFT, you receive a certain role in Discord. You get access to channels in the Discord, one of which actually will have a token faucet for the Bonzo token. You can get a small amount of that token in there. And then there's also a utility aspect that's related to the protocol of the NFT. So if you're holding, based on these tiers of what you're holding for the NFT, we're going to have a point system that we've employed on Bonzo Finance. And if you look at protocols like MarginFi and Camino and others, many of them on these other networks are utilizing point systems as a reward mechanism and incentive mechanism for users to supply liquidity and borrow assets. So we've adopted that as a functionality for the protocol. And by holding those NFTs, you actually get a multiplier on the points that you're earning by participating in the protocol itself. One unique thing about the points that I'm really excited about is with Hedera, there is a points standard that exists called HCS 20. And HCS 20 allows you to have points that are immutable and verifiable and on chain. And this is a little bit different than point systems that we've seen on other networks where they're using sort of a standard database like MongoDB or Cassandra or something along those lines. And so, making points auditable and verifiable is really exciting. And, that functionality, that points functionality can actually be used by any protocol on any network. So if you're launching a protocol and you're looking to get the next generation of point systems for it, I definitely recommend checking out HCS 20 as a point standard. We're really excited to use it.
That's very cool. And yeah, I've heard about
Yeah.
HCS 20 in the past. I need to learn more. And I think it's cool that you guys are introducing this point system as well within Bonzo Finance's ecosystem. It actually was my next question, so you answered it spot on. It's like we planned this prior and we completely did it. No, but so you also mentioned something about an HTS token soon to release on the horizon. Anything you want to mention about that?
Yeah, so we've adapted Aave to Hedera, and we've kept everything generally the same except for the certain adaptations that we've made for Hedera's native services and Hedera's EVM. And with Aave, the native token for that protocol to ensure decentralization is the governance token, the Aave token. Bonzo Finance will have its own token, and it'll have the same utility that Aave does, where it offers governance to be able to propose various changes to the protocol, and then also allow folks to vote on those changes. And then, in addition to that governance utility, there's also the utility for a mechanism called a safety module. And at a very high level, a safety module is essentially an insurance pool. So, as we mentioned before, there's these liquidation bots that go and liquidate various positions that need to be liquidated. um, there's a small chance. We try to do everything that we can, obviously, to mitigate this, but there's a small chance of shortfall events that happen on the protocol where maybe creditors need to be made whole because a liquidation happened too late, or the price of an asset was so volatile that the person who supplied it wasn't able to be made whole on the loan that they've given out. And so this safety module is essentially a reserve of native tokens that holders of Bonzo Finance can contribute to that reserve and receive a yield for doing so. In the case of a shortfall event, that reserve is then used to cover creditors, and that sort of hit that's taken is dispersed across anybody who's participating in the safety module. But again, holders of Bonzo Finance that participate in that activity to protect the protocol, they're earning yield as an incentive to be able to participate in that, and then again, try to do everything that we can to make sure those types of events are very rare or don't happen at all, ideally.
Most definitely. So you have NFTs soon to release on the horizon. You have your own HTS token. You have the point system. You have borrowing and lending, and now, like you've already mentioned, the Bonzo DAO. In this
Yes.
government, yes, let's talk about this Bonzo DAO. Can you discuss the role of it and really how it aims to foster a stronger and engaged community within your ecosystem.
Yeah, so decentralized protocols are they typically have a DAO structure. If you look at Uniswap, Aave, the list goes on and on. DAO structures are really important for the decentralization of the protocol and to ensure that it's really the community that's making decisions for the direction of the protocol. When we initially launch, as most protocols are, it's more centralized, and as time goes on, to further decentralization, there's the creation of the DAO and of the Bonzo Finance DAO. We're looking to set that up in early 2025. And in the time being, from the launch of the mainnet to the incorporation of that DAO, setting up processes and structures that are in place to ensure a robust experience for people to participate in creating proposals, voting on proposals, and really sort of taking over control of the direction of the protocol and of the project.
Very cool. I love seeing the introduction of DAO, the DAO system, and just DAOs in general because it really cultivates more of a community who is able to really speak their own voice and provide feedback in numerous ways that can really help cultivate a strong product overall, especially utilizing the people who support the product the most. It's very cool to see. What excites you the most, though, Brady? What are you excited about?
Yeah, so it's a couple things. The first thing is like I'm a DeFi user myself, and having the opportunity to be able to build a protocol that offers utility that I personally want to be able to participate in is
Yeah,
awesome. I really enjoy that a lot. I think it helps make the protocol better when you have people who are building products for themselves. Anyone who's building product, if they can build it for themselves, I think that's definitely a win.
yeah,
And then the second thing is just being involved in Hedera for so long. I mean, it was at Swirlds Lab slash Hedera for about 5.5 years or so before starting this adventure. And I'm really excited about being able to contribute to the health of the DeFi ecosystem on Hedera. If you look at sort of data from all across Web3, lending protocols make up an outsized proportion of total value locked and contribute widely to liquidity and utilization across the DeFi ecosystem. And so, it feels really good being able to contribute to the health and success of this ecosystem that's really starting to emerge. And it still feels early, and so it's exciting to sort of get in on the ground floor of that.
yeah. Couldn't agree more. And we are all very early, and we'll still probably be early for a couple more years, in my opinion.
No doubt, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and that's fun too. Is sort of the watching the whole space evolve. I think that these protocols are going to have to evolve with the space as it matures. You're going to have new regulatory enforcement that comes down the line. You're going to have the introduction of institutions and traditional finance wanting to participate, and so excited to be able to adapt to those changes as they come down the line, and ultimately be able to have a protocol that it lasts for a very, very long time, and is able to adapt to the crazy space that's changing so fast.
yeah. That's a great thing to have. Something that is more or less stuck in the concrete and has nowhere else to go. It's here to stay and it's not going anywhere. It's very cool to see, and I'm very appreciative to have this time to be able to speak to you and learn all about Bonzo Finance. Speaking more regards to the future, is there anything that you would like to highlight in regards to the future so far? I know we've already spoken about a lot, like the point system, the NFTs, the DAO to come in 2025, the HTS token. Is there anything else I might have mentioned that you'd like to highlight before we close this out?
Yeah, I think just the sort of imminent future that we've got, we're moving very quickly and we're hitting all of our deadlines. We're trying to ensure the best experience for users. We launched our test net, and that's available for folks to play around with. We're looking to launch the mainnet in early Q3 of 2024. And right before that, doing a code freeze and audits and making those audit reports publicly available. Um, we are going to be doing the NFT collectibles sale um, in June, so definitely be on the lookout for that. You can join our Discord at bonzo.finance/Discord. And you can check out our website and the testnet instance at bonzo.finance.
Amazing. All the links will be linked down below. Brady, it's been a true pleasure to be able to speak to you today all about Bonzo Finance. If there's anything else you'd like to mention, by all means, now would be the time. But once again, I appreciate you for your time.
I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, Tate. And yeah, no, all good on my end. We're really excited to be part of the Hedera ecosystem. And yeah, please reach out for any questions or joining our community.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to host you again down the line when we have more progress rolling with Bonzo Finance. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here first. This has been Brady from Bonzo Finance. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you all in the next episode. Peace.
Ready to transform your learning experience? Step into the future with the Learn to Earn platform on Hedera. Choose how you learn. Academic books in hard copy or NFT form. That's right, NFTs. Whether you prefer the traditional feel or a digital interactive journey, the choice is yours. Dive into the NFT, not just for the book, but for all the tools you need for success. Download the book, access tests, all within a seamless, immersive interface. Forget traditional logins. Simply scan the QR code, connect to our platform, and start your Learn to Earn journey. Pass your tests and watch your success turn into real rewards with Gcoin, our exclusive digital currency. Imagine learning at your own pace, acing exams, and reaping tangible benefits. It's not just education, it's a transformative journey towards success. Join the future of learning at gilmore-estates.net. Scan, learn, earn. It's that simple, and it's revolutionary.